Protests in Berlin, Italy, London, Paris, Madrid and Brussels. What are these protesters asking for? They are asking that one man be set free. That man is Julian Assange. So who is Julian Assange? Where is he currently? Why was he arrested? And why do the protesters want him to be set free? Hello and welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Let's connect the dots of a story of espionage, journalism, exposes, war crimes, free speech and an extradition battle. Meet Julian Assange, an Australian citizen who gained a reputation as a computer programmer in his teens. In 1995, he was fined for hacking offences in Australia. He set up a whistleblowing website, WikiLeaks, in 2006 because he wanted to expose secrets he believed should be in the public domain. It was his communications and relationship with an American soldier in Iraq that turned WikiLeaks into a household name. That soldier, Chelsea Manning, downloaded a trove of US secrets and sent them to Julian Assange. Manning worked as an intelligence analyst with the US Army in Iraq when the two got in touch. She had access to classified databases and leaked secret American military and diplomatic documents to Assange. These stunning disclosures were made in 2010 and 2011. So what were those disclosures? WikiLeaks claims to have published more than 10 million documents. They included many confidential or restricted official reports. They were related to war, spying and corruption. They revealed details of US activities in Iraq and Afghanistan wars. This included attacks on civilians. They also revealed details of US treatment of prisoners in Guantanamo Bay and links to clandestine activities in the Middle East.
You're clear. All right, firing.
Line here, when stage line out.
Let me know when you get it. We'll shoot. Light them all up.
202 traffic, 260.
Come on, fire.
Here are a few instances. WikiLeaks leaked this classified video. This is video footage of a helicopter attack by US forces. It shows civilians being killed in the Iraqi capital Baghdad in 2007. Among them were two Reuters journalists.
I believe that if those killings were lawful under the rules of engagement, then the rules of engagement are wrong. Deeply wrong.
The leaks uncovered possible war crimes by the United States military in Afghanistan and showed prisoner abuse by Iraqi forces, which Assange claimed US military knew about but did not seem to investigate.
Bushmaster 7, Roger. This is Bushmaster 7, Roger, engage.
1-8, engage. Clear. Come on. Clear.
In our release of these 400,000 documents about the Iraq War, the intimate detail of that war from the US perspective, we hope to correct some of that attack on the truth that occurred before the war, during the war, and which has continued on since the war officially concluded.
The United States was jolted. Chelsea Manning was arrested in 2010. She was sentenced to 35 years in prison. But in 2017, the then President Barack Obama commuted her sentence to 7 years in confinement from her arrest. Chelsea is today out of prison. But till date, the US has not been able to lay its hands on Julian Assange. So why is that? In 2010, when the first leaks were published by WikiLeaks, Julian was working in the UK. Sweden requested UK for his extradition. Prosecutors there wanted to question him over allegations of rape and sexual assault. Assange claimed these charges were politically motivated lies and part of a plan to ultimately get him into a US courtroom. In 2012, the UK Supreme Court ruled that he be extradited to Sweden for questioning. But then Assange struck a deal with Ecuador, whose then president, Rafael Correa, agreed to give him political asylum. Assange stayed in the Ecuadorian embassy in London beyond the reach of the law. As Assange stayed there, the US was prepared to wait. Its prosecutors then were drawing up plans to charge him with conspiracy to hack government computers and with violation of America's Espionage Act. So what constitutes espionage in the United States? The Espionage Act prohibits obtaining or disclosing information related to national defense if the material could be used against the United States or to the advantage of foreign nations. All US needed was the embassy house guest to overstay his welcome, and he did. Ecuador changed its stand in 2019. It said the asylum of Julian Assange was unsustainable and not viable. Assange was dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy by the UK police and jailed in London for being on the run from Swedish allegations. Even though that case was later dropped, he remained in a cell in London's Belmarsh prison. That's because the United States requested that he be extradited or sent there to face trial. The US accuses Assange of conspiring to break into its military databases to acquire sensitive information. Assange faces 18 criminal counts in the United States. In 2021, the High Court in London ruled that he should be extradited. The Supreme Court upheld that decision. And the then UK Home Secretary Priti Patel confirmed the extradition order. But the fight is still on in British courts. Assange has asked for permission from the High Court to review Patel's decision and challenge the original 2021 court ruling. Assange wants his case to be about free speech and journalism. But journalists can also commit crimes. Both US and UK have laws that protect national security secrets. So the primary legal question for the British judges is whether his leaks crossed the line into hacking, disclosed secrets, and also endangered lives, as American prosecutors claim. Also, if the US is able to convince British judges that Julian Assange is not too ill to face trial in America, he could be a step closer to being put on the plane to face trial. Assange's lawyers ask, how can exposing crime and torture be worse than committing them? They say his extradition would be in breach of the extradition treaty between the UK and the US because it prohibits extradition for political offences. Even while being behind bars, wedding bells rang for Assange in 2022. He married his longtime partner, lawyer Stella Assange, in a ceremony inside prison in the presence of both their children, Assange's father and brother. His wife continues to warn that he won't survive a US jail if extradited.
There is no possibility of a fair trial if Julian is extradited to the United States. He should never be extradited to the United States. He would never be safe. The United States plotted to murder my husband. What happened to Navalny can happen to Julian. He has to be released. This farce has to end.
Assange's lawyers say if tried in the US, Assange could be given a sentence as long as 175 years or a minimum of 30 to 40 years. But US prosecutors say it would be shorter and no more than 63 months or a little over 5 years. So what happens if Assange wins the case in the Royal Courts of Justice in London? If Assange wins, expect a full appeal hearing, where his arguments would be explored at greater length before a decision is made. And if he loses, his only legal hope to avoid extradition to the US would be from the European Court of Human Rights. But this court had already dismissed a plea by his lawyers in 2022 without a hearing. So legal options could be fast running out for Julian Assange. So is the Australian government trying for Assange's release? It is. Since Labour's election in 2022, the Australian government has repeatedly made representations to both the United States and the United Kingdom. It wants the pursuit of Assange to end. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has raised it with US President Joe Biden. But Australia also acknowledges limits to its influence. So then, is there any hope for US intervention? Well, so far, the Biden administration has resisted intervening in the Department of Justice's pursuit of Assange. While US presidential hopeful Donald Trump is seen by some as more favorable to Assange because of WikiLeaks' role in publishing Hillary Clinton's emails before the 2016 US presidential election, it is a fact that charges against Assange were initiated under the Trump administration. Be that as it may, the US president does have sweeping powers to pardon individuals or commute sentences, just as Obama commuted Manning's sentence. For now, all eyes are on the British justice system. Will the judiciary see him as an investigative journalist who acted in public interest, or as a hacker who threatened national security of a country and endangered lives? Julian Assange's fate hangs somewhere between these two questions. Time for a breather on connecting the dots. For the first time ever, private landing has taken place on the moon. So what is the future of lunar exploration? We explore that next.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Humans are always fascinated by the moon. It's like we want to touch the moon if we can. And then comes a bucket of curiosity around it, like what secrets does it hold? Does it harbor life? Water? Is it within our reach? Those questions have fueled a fascination for generations.
Go IM-1 and the Odysseus lunar lander.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center. An incredible sight to see.
Odysseus lunar lander separation confirmed.
And what you see on the screen is the latest picture of the moon shared by American robotic spacecraft Odysseus. Odysseus is the first American spacecraft to land on the moon's surface after 50 years since Apollo 17 in 1972. However, the more important thing is, it is the first private spacecraft ever to reach the lunar surface. The mission was conducted by Houston-based space exploration company Intuitive Machines. The successful lunar landing triggered a surge in its stock price, with shares jumping 38%. This impressive feat propelled the company's market value above the coveted $1 billion mark. The accomplishment also had a ripple effect, boosting the share prices of other companies in the space industry. Intuitive Machines invested roughly $100 million on the lander and received $118 million from the American space agency NASA. The mission utilized a Falcon 9 rocket from Elon Musk's company SpaceX and launched from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The lander Odysseus is 13 feet tall and hexagonal. And where did Odysseus land? It landed in a place called Malapert A. Intuitive Machines says it is the furthest south any vehicle has been able to land on the moon. This is what Intuitive Machines CEO and co-founder Steve Altemus said after the landing of the lander.
That this is the first briefing about being on the surface of the moon for the first time in about 52 years in this room. So that's quite incredible. So just to begin with, the vehicle is stable near or at our intended landing site. We do have communications with the lander.
The Odysseus made a remarkable feat. Its journey wasn't a smooth ride. It landed faster than planned and tumbled sideways onto the moon's surface. As a result, some of the spacecraft's antennas were pointing at the ground and not pointed towards the Earth. This in turn limited its ability to communicate with flight controllers back on Earth. The mission had to be cut short after 5 days post-landing due to technical error. It was supposed to be functional though for 7 to 10 days. Odysseus's solar panels won't get sunlight all the time as the sun moves across the sky. This means the panels won't have enough power to keep the batteries charged. The lander won't be able to work during the long lunar night with temperatures dropping below -200 degrees Fahrenheit. While Odysseus may take pride in being the first private spacecraft on the moon, it's not the only one that tried. In January this year, another US-based aerospace company, Astrobotic, sent its Peregrine lander on a doomed mission to the moon. Sadly, it did not make it, burning up in Earth's atmosphere. As Odysseus fades, another lunar lander unexpectedly comes back to life. Japanese space agency JAXA said its smart lander for investigating moon, in short SLIM, survived freezing lunar night and re-established communication with the Earth more than a month after it landed safely on the moon in January. While India is making significant strides in space exploration. The country's space agency ISRO said it wants to land an Indian on the moon by 2040. In 2023, India made history by becoming the first nation to land near the moon's south pole.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल.
Just weeks later, India launched Aditya L1, the country's first ever mission to study the sun. Not stopping there, India unveiled the 4 brave Indian Air Force officers chosen for Gaganyaan, the country's maiden human spaceflight program planned for 2024-25. With India aiming to land a human on the moon by 2040, the future of lunar exploration is brighter than ever before. The moon awaits and the universe beckons. Who knows what incredible discoveries lie ahead? Time for another breather on Connecting the Dots. World's biggest ever snake discovered in the jungle of the Amazon. How dangerous is the predator? We tell you that.
Turning crisis into opportunity. Transforming ideas into action. Stories of real change. Tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such changemakers.
Watch Changemakers on DD India.
Are you a wildlife enthusiast? If yes, then one thing that is sure to have captured your imagination sometime in your life is the vibrancy of the Amazon rainforest. Yes, Amazon, the land of mystery, unusual creatures, and a lot which is unexplored. A team of scientists were on an expedition to the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador. They were filming an upcoming National Geographic documentary series featuring Will Smith. But they had no idea what was about to come. They struck upon a hidden wonder of nature, an unknown species of giant anaconda. Yes, anaconda. Most of us have our imagination of the giant snake through movies. Those man-eating serpents in the 1997 Hollywood film starring Jennifer Lopez, or the anacondas, The Hunt for the Blood Orchid. But this time, it is for real. The scientists from the University of Queensland in Australia discovered the northern green anaconda in the Amazon rainforest. The crew was accompanied by the indigenous Huarani people who live in the Amazonian region of Ecuador. They encountered a female anaconda that was 20 feet long. Scientists believe these giant anacondas may weigh close to 500 kilograms, making it the largest and heaviest snake known in the world. The newly discovered species was distinct from the previously known southern green anaconda that was found about 10 million years ago. So this means that the green anaconda is actually two genetically distinct species, the newly discovered northern green anaconda and the southern green anaconda. And you know what? Both the species are massively different genetically, but they look so similar that even experts can't tell them apart. Green anacondas are members of a family of snakes called constrictors. Constrictors are not venomous or poisonous. This means they don't kill their prey by delivering venom through bite. Instead, constrictors wrap their bodies around the prey and squeeze until it stops breathing. They can open their mouth wide enough to swallow their prey whole. Anacondas are primarily of 4 types. While the green anaconda are the largest ones, the other 3 are yellow anaconda, dark spotted anaconda and Bolivian anaconda. Anacondas are excellent swimmers. They live mainly in low wetlands and swamps in the hottest and most humid regions of South America. They have eyes and nostrils on the top of their heads. This allows them to lie in wait for prey while submerged in water. And when a prey comes near, these silent killers surround it in no time. Frightening, huh? Well, most of us fear these deadly snakes. There are some exceptions too. This man is catching an anaconda with his bare hands. But he doesn't stop there. He goes on to kiss the giant reptile's head. The video is claimed to be from Venezuela. Mike Holston, who posted the video, said successfully caught a monster anaconda of Venezuela. While Mike was kissing an anaconda, another adventurer, Dutch biologist Freek Wonk, took a different approach. He decided to go for a swim with a 25 feet long anaconda. Watch this video. This video is of 2023. Wonk spots a monstrous green anaconda sliding into the water. In no time, he dives in. Here's what you can see on the screen. While these encounters are fascinating, the reality is that anacondas and the entire Amazon ecosystem are facing a serious threat. As per the University of Queensland, deforestation for agriculture has caused a 21 to 30% habitat loss in the Amazon. And this is expected to rise further to 40% by 2050. There is also heavy metal pollution linked to spills from oil extraction activities. Further, forest fires and climate change all threaten life in the Amazon. Remember, the Amazon is a treasure trove of life, and it is our responsibility to ensure it thrives for generations to come. The Amazon is full of undiscovered wonders waiting to be explored. So next time you hear rustling in the rainforest, it might not be a monster, but a giant snake just looking for its lunch. Well, that's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you next week with more raging issues that touch our lives and imagination. Goodbye for now from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. Take care. Stay safe.